welcome to the deep dive. Ever felt kind of overwhelmed trying to figure out the absolute best way for young people to get fit and stay active?
Yeah, it feels like there's so much information out there.
Exactly. We all want strategies that work, ones that are effective, but honestly, who has the time to dig through every single research paper?
Right.
That's precisely why we're here. We've unearthed a really fascinating study to bring you the clearest, most impactful insights. Today, we're taking a really close look at research that could genuinely shift how we think about exercise for youth. We're diving into a paper called Combining HIIT with Small-Sided Soccer Games Enhances Cardiometabolic and Physical Fitness More Than Each Alone in Overweight Youth, a randomized controlled study.
That's quite a title, but it's important work. It was published in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine. That's volume 24, pages 104 to 115, and it went online March 1st, 2025.
Okay.
And it comes from an international team led by Zheng, Zhu, and Jie Zhang from institutions in China and Poland.
Got it. And our mission for this deep dive, well, it's to really understand how these different exercise approaches, specifically high-intensity interval training, HIIT, small-sided games, or SSGs, and a strategic combination of both how they impact the health and fitness of sedentary, overweight youth.
Yeah.
We'll explore not just what works best, but also what's maybe more enjoyable, and why all of this matters so much for you and, the young people in your life.
Absolutely crucial stuff.
So let's start at the beginning, before we even get to potential solutions. Why is this topic sedentary and overweight youth? Why is it so critically important right now? What are the real health implications?
Well, what's truly striking here is how interconnected these issues are. It's almost like a domino effect, Being sedentary and overweight as a young person, it can trigger this whole cascade of negative consequences. The research clearly highlights that this combination, and in this study, they defined it as having a BMI, body mass index, between 25 and 30.
Okay, the clinical overweight range.
Exactly. That combination can lead to really significant and lasting health challenges. We're talking about dramatically increased risks for cardiovascular problems, things like high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, even insulin resistance.
Which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes, right?
Precisely. And looking at the bigger picture, it also tends to promote excessive fat storage, particularly that visceral fat.
Yeah, the dangerous kind around the organs.
That's the one. And this sets the stage for chronic inflammation and metabolic syndrome, that cluster of conditions that seriously raises the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes down the line.
Wow.
But it's not just physical. Beyond those physiological impacts, there are pretty serious psychosocial risks, too. Sedentary, overweight youth might face higher rates of anxiety, depression, lower self-esteem. And unfortunately, this is often made worse by social stigma, which just makes everything tougher for them.
Wow, that is a lot to consider.
Yeah.
It's clear that tackling inactivity and weight management in young people isn't just about, appearance or some short-term goal.
Not at all.
It's fundamentally about building a foundation for lifelong health and well-being, both physically and mentally. The stakes seem incredibly high.
They really are.
So, given these very real risks, effective, sustainable exercise strategies they're absolutely essential. One approach that you hear about constantly is high-intensity interval training. HIIT. It's everywhere.
It is very popular, yeah.
What makes it so appealing, and what does the science actually say about its benefits for this specific group, overweight youth?
Well, HIIT, as you probably know, it involves those short bursts of really intense exercise followed by brief recovery periods.
Right.
And it's gained popularity because, frankly, it works, or at least it seems effective in many ways. Previous research, including meta-analyses, has consistently shown that HIIT can be remarkably good at improving cardiovascular fitness, enhancing insulin sensitivity, which is vital for blood sugar management, and positively impacting overall body composition. We've seen studies show reductions in body fat percentage, waist circumference, significant improvements in aerobic capacity, favorable changes in lipid profiles.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, and its time-efficient nature, getting a lot done quickly, that also makes it really attractive, especially for, busy young people.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit complicated. While HIIT sounds amazing on paper, that very high intensity, it could be a double-edged sword, couldn't it? Especially for adolescents.
Exactly.
What are some potential downsides that might actually get in the way of long-term success, even with those benefits?
That's a really crucial observation. It raises this important question. While it's undeniably effective physiologically, HIIT's intensity can lead to what researchers call exercise intolerance.
Okay.
And that often just translates into decreased motivation and, well, poor adherence. If you think about it, if an activity feels like this relentless, unpleasant chore, especially for young people who might prefer something more playful or social, it becomes incredibly hard to stick with it over the long haul.
Makes sense.
Enjoyment isn't just a nice to have for keeping up physical activity. It's really a critical factor. We've all started some workout routine we couldn't stand, right? It never lasts.
Huh. I think anyone who's ever tried to get a teenager off the couch can relate to that. It's not just the science, it's the reality of motivation.
Absolutely.
But isn't there also, some value in pushing through discomfort, building resilience?
Yeah.
Could there be a risk that focusing too much on enjoyment leads to less challenging, maybe less effective training?
That's an excellent point, and it really does highlight a core tension in prescribing exercise. Pushing limits is important, no doubt, especially for athletic development. But
Absolutely.
for sedentary and overweight youth, the very first hurdle is often just getting them moving and, crucially, enjoying it consistently. If it's too tough or feels alienating right from the start, we lose them.
Right. You never get to the benefits.
Exactly. The goal here is fostering a lifelong habit, not just getting through a 6-week study. So for this population, the balance probably needs to lean heavily towards activities that spark that intrinsic motivation, making exercise feel like something they want to do, not something they have to do.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So if that high intensity can be such a barrier, what about a more enjoyable alternative? This study looked into small-sided soccer games, SSGs. For anyone not familiar, just picture like a scaled-down version of a team sport, fewer players, smaller space, more action. What are the advantages of SSGs here?
Yeah, SSGs have really emerged as a highly promising alternative. They offer this compelling blend of benefits. Often they can deliver similar cardiovascular and metabolic boosts as traditional HIIT.
Oh, interesting.
But with that added, absolutely crucial advantage of being much more enjoyable. The inherent elements of play, competition, social interaction, they all naturally boost intrinsic motivation.
Right, you're playing a game.
Exactly. You're not just exercising, you're playing a game with friends. This enhances social engagement, a powerful motivator for young people, and it can even reduce how hard the effort feels.
Ah, perception of effort.
Right. It makes the physical demands feel less like work. Plus, the continuous movement with varying intensities in SSGs, it effectively stimulates cardiovascular adaptation, sometimes almost without them realizing how hard they're working.
Sounds fantastic. But are there any downsides, any limitations to using SSGs on their own?
Yeah.
Can they really cover all the fitness bases?
That's a very good question. While SSGs are great for engagement and many fitness aspects, there are some trade-offs. One limitation is what researchers call heterogeneity in exercise stimulus.
Okay. What does that mean in plain English?
It just means the workout intensity isn't always consistent or perfectly controlled. It can fluctuate quite a bit depending on who's playing, their skill level, how competitive the game gets.
Okay. Less predictable.
Exactly. So it's not a perfectly standardized workout physiologically, and crucially, those really intense locomotor demands things like maximal sprints, rapid accelerations. They might be compromised a bit because of the smaller space.
Right. Less room to really open up.
Yeah. There are just fewer opportunities for those truly explosive movements in a smaller game. And this limitation could potentially hinder improvements in very specific things like explosive muscular power or peak change of direction ability, even if engagement is high.
Okay, so that's a real dilemma then. We've got HIIT, super effective for certain things, but maybe hard to stick with because it's so intense.
Right.
And then SSGs, much more enjoyable, great for motivation, but maybe missing some of those specific high-intensity fitness components.
That's the puzzle.
So how do we get both? The targeted fitness gains and the enjoyment that keeps kids coming back, which is exactly why these researchers looked at combining them, SSG plus HIIT. What was the thinking there? What was the rationale behind merging these two?
The fundamental idea was really to try and create a best of both worlds scenario, to strategically merge the distinct physiological benefits you get from both types of training.
Okay.
The researchers basically aimed to combine that individualized, precise, demanding stimulus from HIE with the engaging, fun, enjoyable aspects of SSG.
Makes sense.
The goal was to see if this combined approach could be more effective or maybe just as effective as either method alone, especially for these sedentary, overweight youth. Could they get high effectiveness and high enjoyment for better long-term results? It's about finding a more holistic, sustainable solution.
Right. So how did they test this? What did this study actually look like?
They designed a really meticulous, randomized, parallel-controlled study. It ran for 6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks.
Yep. They recruited 57 sedentary, overweight male youth, all around 15 years old, with an average BMI about 28.
Got it.
These participants were then carefully split into 4 distinct groups. One did a SSG plus HIIT, one did just SSG, another did just HIIT, and then, of course, a control group that just kept up their regular habits. Standard control.
Exactly. Each intervention group trained twice a week. And the sessions involved about 12 to 16 minutes of active exercise each time, which actually complemented their normal PE classes.
Oh, so it wasn't a huge extra time burden.
No, it was designed to be integrated, not overwhelming.
Smart. And what did they measure?
Oh, they measured a lot. Really comprehensive. For anthropometrics, body measures, they looked at height, body mass, waist circumference, which is key for metabolic health.
Right.
Blood pressure, both systolic and diastolic.
Mm-hmm.
For endurance, they used the multi-stage fitness test, the BEEP test.
Ah, yes, the BEEP test. Fond memories. Or maybe not.
Huh. Yeah, it measures total distance covered, so it's a great indicator of cardiovascular stamina.
Okay.
Muscle power was gauged using counter movement jumps, CMJ. How high you can jump in broad jumps, BJ, for horizontal power.
Right.
And for agility or change of direction ability, COD, they use a 5-5 test how fast you can sprint, stop, turn, and sprint back. Crucial for sports.
And importantly, they also carefully monitor perceived exertion RPE, how hard it felt, and exercise enjoyment using the PACES scale after every single session.
Oh, that's key, getting the subjective experience, too.
Absolutely. The HIIT sessions involved short bursts at 90% maximal aerobic speed, then rest. The SSG was a 3v3+1 floater soccer game on a small court, keeping everyone involved.
Okay.
And the combined SSG plus HIIT group, they just split their session time between both, and they actually varied the order each week to keep it fresh.
Okay. Very thorough setup. All right, let's get to the payoff. After all that, what did they find? What did the combination and the individual trainings actually achieve? What were the key results?
The results were really insightful and, yeah, in some ways quite surprising. First off, something positive across the board. All 3 active groups, SSG plus HIIT, SSG alone, and HII alone, showed a significantly positive effect on change of direction ability compared to the control group.
Okay, so any active training helped with agility.
Pretty much. It seems just getting active in a structured way helps those foundational movement skills. The impact was similar across all 3 intervention groups there.
Interesting. But what about aerobic fitness? That BEEP test. That's where HIE is supposed to shine, right?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, and perhaps the biggest insight. Despite HIIT's reputation, when it came to aerobic capacity from the BEEP test, the findings were, well, more nuanced.
Thorough.
Both the SSG plus HIIT group and the SSG alone group were significantly effective in improving aerobic capacity compared to the control group. Really substantial differences.
Okay, so the games worked for endurance.
Yes, but here's the kicker. While the HIIT alone group did show some improvement internally,
Yeah.
those gains were not significantly different from the control group's change over the 6 weeks.
Wait, really? HIIT didn't significantly beat the control group on aerobic capacity.
Not in this specific study with this short interval type and duration for this population. It's a critical finding. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, this specific form of HII over 6 weeks wasn't superior to just normal activity levels for boosting endurance in these particular kids.
Wow. That really challenges some common assumptions, doesn't it?
It definitely makes you think. Are we potentially over-relying on HII for all fitness goals, or maybe just misjudging its immediate impact for certain groups or shorter programs?
That's a huge takeaway.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about waist circumference, that metabolic health marker? Did anything make a difference there?
Yes, and this really highlights the specificity of training effects. HII was the only intervention that led to a significant reduction in waist circumference compared to the control.
Ah, okay, so HIR did have a unique benefit there.
It did. The HII group saw a mean reduction of about 3.7 centimeters more than the control group. That's a clinically relevant amount and strongly suggests HII is particularly good at targeting that abdominal fat.
Right, maybe that visceral fat we talked about?
Potentially, yeah. So while SSG was great for aerobic capacity in this study, HIIT was the clear winner for shrinking the waistline.
Fascinating.
Okay.
And maybe the most crucial finding for actually getting kids to stick with it,
Yeah.
enjoyment and perceived effort. How did they stack up there?
This is absolutely critical, like we said. If it's not fun, it won't last, especially with adolescents.
Exactly.
And the study clearly showed that HIIT was perceived as significantly more intense
No surprise there.
and significantly less enjoyable than both the SSG plus HIIT and the SSG alone groups. And these weren't small differences. The effect sizes for enjoyment were very large.
Wow.
The playful, competitive nature of SSG clearly just made the psychological experience much better. It tapped into that intrinsic motivation, the social aspect. Kids like to play, right?
Right.
SSG leverages that. It really underlines that enjoyment isn't just a side benefit. It's a cornerstone for keeping youth physically active.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so just as important as what did change, what about the things that didn't show significant improvement?
Were there any? Yes, and this points to the study's scope and duration. Neither the individual nor the combined interventions showed significant improvements in overall body mass, or BMI,
Right.
or blood pressure, systolic or diastolic, or muscle power measured by those jumps compared to the control group.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it could be several things. 6 weeks is quite short for an exercise study. Those kinds of changes, especially body mass and blood pressure, often take longer.
Right, more sustained effort.
Exactly. Also, the specific type of short interval HII they used might not be optimal for, say, muscle power development. And critically, they didn't control for diet.
The diet factor.
Always important.
Huge factor. Changes in overall body mass, BMI, blood pressure. They often need a more holistic approach that includes diet, maybe higher training volume, over a longer period.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's try to tie this all together. What does this mean for someone listening, a parent, coach, educator, or even just someone interested in fitness for young people? What are the practical takeaways? Well, if you connect all these findings, the study really provides a pretty clear roadmap, I think. It highlights the power of a nuanced approach.
Okay.
If you're aiming to improve functional skills like change of direction or boost overall aerobic capacity, both SSG alone and the combined SSG plus HIT approach look really effective.
Right.
And crucially, they come with that big bonus of being significantly more enjoyable, which we know is key for getting kids to stick with it.
Yeah.
SSGs make it feel more like play.
So for general fitness and fun, SSG or the combo seems great.
Exactly. However, and this is a key distinction, if the primary goal is a very targeted reduction in waist circumference, getting rid of that abdominal fat,
Yeah.
then HIT seems to be the distinct leader based on this study.
Interesting.
So the findings really suggest that practitioners, educators, coaches, they should seriously think about incorporating combined methods like SSG plus HIIT into youth fitness programs.
You get the best of both worlds.
Precisely. You can achieve a broader range of benefits that way. You hit the fitness markers and you tap into those critical enjoyment factors. You could imagine maybe small tournaments using SSG integrated with short bursts of targeted HIIT, a well-rounded, sustainable program.
That really highlights the importance of knowing your goals and maybe even individual preferences, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely not one size fits all, but that combination strategy sounds powerful.
It really does. And of course, we need to acknowledge the study's limitations again. The short duration, no diet control, no rigorous monitoring of outside activity.
Right.
These all mean that for those bigger changes, overall body mass, blood pressure, you'd likely need a longer intervention, maybe higher volume, definitely integrating diet. These things just take time and a broader strategy.
Understood. Wow, what a deep dive. It seems so clear that when it comes to getting sedentary, overweight youth moving, enjoyment isn't just some nice bonus.
No, it's fundamental.
It's truly a cornerstone for long-term success. Understanding the unique strengths, but also the challenges of things like HIIT and SSGs, and seeing how combining them can work, it lets us tailor strategies that are actually effective and sustainable.
Well said.
So here's maybe a provocative thought for you listening. What aspect of your own fitness journey, or maybe that of young people you know, could benefit from injecting a bit more play to boost enjoyment? Or perhaps adding a targeted burst of high intensity to really nail a specific physical goal?
That's a great question to reflect on. And we definitely encourage you to read the full article by Zheng, Zhu, and Zhang in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine. If you want to dive even deeper into the methods and all the detailed results we touched on today,
For sure.
it really offers a wealth of scientific clarity on this really important topic. There's always more detail on the full paper.
Absolutely. And if you found this deep dive valuable, please make sure to follow our channel and turn on those notifications.
Yeah, please do.
That way, you won't miss out on future deep dives into fascinating research that helps you cut through all the noise and get genuinely well informed. Until next time, keep learning and stay